Steroids destroyed all the numbers. Baseball lost all of its historic greatness around numbers, and yesterday that was not so because all of us are watching that happen to the Marlins. So when I say it's the first time since 1901, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases in the middle of the game, and then he started topping that with a 6 for 6, there was also something else that happened yesterday that was historic and has never happened before. 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, and a Marlins crowd. And a crowd at a Marlins game that Billy paid $27. And how good were the seats that you got for $27?
They're decent. They were like, I mean, there's a whole thing. I'd say they were row 8, but then there's like a whole alphabetical aspect to the situation where there's like the double A row and then there's like the A row. So like they're pretty good. They were like right by first base. We picked that first base side because he's a left-handed hitter, so I could see the trajectory of the ball should it go out. The game was so crazy, Dan. Like you're listing all the things that he did. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 2 stolen bases, right? I was just hoping for 2 home runs and 1 stolen base, which I was like, this is reaching. But here's the thing about the game, right? He could have had 4 home runs because his first double hit the wall. He could have hit for the cycle because he got thrown out going to third base, which he had no business doing. Also, that first stolen base of the 2, he was out by 10 feet and just a terrible tag attempt, and he was able to sneak by. But the 50-50, which you've never seen before, he did in the same game. He got his 50th stolen base and his 50th home run in the same game. And his 51st stolen base and his 51st home run in the same game. It was an insane game to be at.
Can we
totally
argue,
crazy? Dan.
Can we just argue
Let's
that
not.
Billy spent $27 to watch the single greatest game an individual has played in our lifetime? We can agree on that, correct? Like none of us have ever seen a better baseball game played by an individual than the one that was played yesterday.
I don't want to be this guy so quickly, but the 3rd home run was against a middle infielder.
It was so far. That home run was so far.
That was ridiculous.
They said it was like 440. BS. There's no chance that went 440. By the way, let me share you a stat. I don't know if we have a Saturday, whatever. I don't know if it's sponsored. So here's a stat courtesy of OptaStats, okay? Since RBI became an official stat in 1920, only one MLB player has had, over the course of his entire career, same game or not, a game with 10-plus RBI, a game with 6-plus hits, a game with 5-plus extra base hits, a game with 3-plus home runs, and a game with 2 stolen bases. That one player is Shohei Ohtani. He did it all in one game. That's over the span of a career. There's never a person that has done all of that, and he did it in one game.
When you talk about bones to pick, Billy, because I believe the sports media feeds on bones to pick, and it is something.
He was a leadoff hitter yesterday. He had 10 RBI, Dan. A leadoff hitter had 10 runs batted in. How does that happen? The Dodgers are stacked.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
A 7, 8, and 9 getting on enough for the number 1 to drive you in 10 times is crazy. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. Here's another fun stat. The leadoff hitter hits first. So when he has his first at-bat, there's no one on base to be driven in. So he couldn't do that in his first at-bat.
You generally
So his
don't,
10 RBI happened from 2 to 6 at-bats. And here's another thing. Normally, you don't get 6 at-bats in a game. That's not a thing that happens. The guy was almost 3/4 of the way to the cycle in the 3rd inning had he gotten to third base and not be thrown out.
The reason that he got 6 at-bats is because he's the leadoff hitter and they can't get him out. And so he gets 6 at-bats because he's always on base, having the most ridiculous game any of us have ever seen. But I will say again, you've heard me lament around here for a long time that the sports debate culture and the internet in general have made it corrosive to try and celebrate greatness. We are in an era of undisputed athletic mastery.